You know, when a company puts out an earnings report, you get the official, polished story. But if you really want to know what's going on, you gotta listen to the Q&A session. That's where the real story comes out. So today, we're going to decode that exact session for the medical tech company InMode and see what Wall Street's questions really tell us about where this company is headed.
So what's the deal with these analysts? Well, it's their job to poke and prod, right? They're trying to find the hidden risks, but also figure out just how big the opportunities are. Think of their questions like a treasure map that points to a company's biggest challenges and its most exciting growth spots. And by breaking down what they asked InMode's top RAS, we're going to get a way clearer picture of what's coming down the pike.
All right, first things first. The big question on everyone's mind is always, where's the growth going to come from? And the analysts, they jumped right on that. They immediately started asking about InMode's pipeline, the new products they've got cooking. Specifically, their big new plays in ophthalmology, aesthetics, and men's wellness.
And that first key area they dug into is something called the Envision platform. This is InMode's huge push into the absolutely massive market for treating dry eye. So naturally, the analysts were all over this. They wanted to know everything. How's it going? What's the progress? And the million-dollar question, what's the timeline for getting full FDA approval?
So the CEO, Moshe Mizrahy, he laid it all out, nice and clear. It's not a simple one-and-done thing. It's a whole process. Right now, they're working with the FDA to finalize the plan. Then, the goal is to kick off the big clinical study in early 2026, get those results submitted by the middle of the year, and then, fingers crossed, get that all-important FDA clearance in the second half of 26. You can see why this is a huge, huge potential catalyst for them.
But wait, there's more. The Envision platform isn't the only iron in the fire. The CEO also dropped this little nugget. Apparently, InMode is launching 2 totally new aesthetic lasers early next year. And here's the fun part. They're still secret. He didn't give away the details, of course, but he did say they're very complementary to what they already sell. So that's another exciting layer of potential growth right there.
And to round out this trio of growth engines, we've got the men's wellness platform. This one's all about urology, and it's officially past its soft launch phase. They just had a huge meeting with 800 doctors, and now, boom, it's in a full commercial rollout. So just to recap, we've got the eyes, the new secret lasers, and men's health all ready to go.
Okay, so having cool new products is great, but that's really only half the battle, isn't it? It's not just about what you're selling, it's about how you sell it. And the analysts knew this, so they started digging into how InMode is shaking up its global operations to really get the most out of these new platforms. And a huge piece of their strategy is this move to go direct. Instead of using distributors, they're setting up their own shops in key markets. I mean, look at this. They're now direct in 10 countries across Europe. They're set up in big Asian markets. They just opened a new branch in Argentina. And get this, they're even bringing their home turf of Israel direct in 2026. Why do this? It gives them way more control over the whole sales process.
And back here in North America, they're also making a pretty big change. The old way was to have 2 VPs, one for the East Coast, one for the West. Well, that's gone. Now they've combined the entire North American operation, Canada included, under a single new president. The thinking here is pretty clear. Create one unified, streamlined, and hopefully much more efficient sales machine.
But it's not all sunshine and roses. The conversation definitely took a more serious turn when the analysts started asking about the economy. And this is where all that excitement about new products slams right into the hard reality of the current market.
Yeah, and the company's CFO, Yair Malka, he was very direct about it. This quote really says it all. Even with all this cool new stuff in the pipeline, they're being somewhat conservative as they plan for next year. They're not ignoring the huge economic challenges they're up against.
So what exactly is this biggest headwind? Well, it boils down to one word: financing. Look, InMode sells expensive equipment. Their customers, doctors, clinics, they usually have to lease it. And even though interest rates have dipped a little, the cost to borrow money is still super high. That's a massive barrier for anyone looking to buy new gear.
And the CEO really hammered this point home with this pretty stark quote. He's saying this isn't just some temporary problem. It's a real, persistent challenge that's hitting the whole industry. They just don't see that light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to financing costs anytime soon.
Okay, so if selling new machines is tough right now, what about the core business? How's that holding up? The analysts were smart. They shifted focus to the numbers to see what's happening with all the devices that are already out there. This gives us a fantastic look at the health of their current customer base.
And check out this number, 230,000. That's how many disposable, single-use tips InMode sold in just 1 quarter. Now, why does that matter? It's huge, because every single one of those tips means a procedure was performed. This is their bread and butter, their recurring revenue. It's proof that doctors who have these machines are using them a lot. That's a really strong sign of just how healthy the underlying demand is.
The analysts also spotted a jump in sales for what's called the non-invasive category, but it turns out this wasn't just some random bump. The company explained that it was a direct result of their strategy. Specifically, it was driven by the launch of that new CO2 laser and the men's health device. So we're already seeing clear proof that these new products are making a real impact on their sales numbers.
All right, let's take a breath. We've talked new products, global strategy, those tough economic headwinds, and the strength of the core business. So let's pull all these threads together and figure out what this whole Q&A session really tells us about where InMode stands today. So what's the big picture here? Well, the story of InMode right now is all about this tension, this push and pull. On one hand, you've got this super exciting pipeline of new tech that's ready to drive future growth. But on the other hand, you've got this massive economic headwind, those high financing costs that are basically putting a chokehold on new sales. And yet, underneath it all, that core business looks really healthy, with doctors using the machines and buying those consumables, driving that steady, recurring revenue. And that really brings us to the one critical question that this whole thing boils down to. It's the question that was at the heart of the entire Q&A. InMode clearly has the innovation, but their customers are struggling with the cost of that innovation. So the question is, will their new technology be so good, so compelling, that doctors will find a way to buy it anyway, even in this tough environment? Honestly, the answer to that question is what's going to define their success in 2026.